close game. Big score prediction. 3-3. I want 3-3. I want a lot of goals this game. Hopefully. Really? I don't know, maybe Pavlovic will score a couple. I don't know. It's early season. Whenever you're ready, just turn it on, and I've already got it recorded.
We're only in round 2, but already this game between Mount Druitt Town Rangers and Sydney United 58 has a big game feel after both suffered first up losses to start the 2020 NPL New South Wales season. Yes, hello and welcome. Tony Tunus in commentary with you from Popadetta Park for this one. It's the start of a blockbuster Super Sunday of 7 big live streams across 7 hours, which features the start of the Women's New South Wales NPL on International Women's Day. We'll be live and interactive on an overcast Sydney Sunday, so sit back, relax, get the streams up on the big screen, share them around, and leave your comments throughout. And if you are on Twitter, the hashtag is NPL NSW. It's a big afternoon and it all starts here. An important game given that nearby Blacktown City are already on 6 points after last night's win at Manly. It's time to take a look at the lineups, and for the hosts, Aidan Desmond names a 4-4-1-1 formation with 2 changes from last week's loss to Sydney FC, with Solomon Monahan Vaika and Alex Boyajian coming into the starting 11, which is in goals Carlos Saliadari, a back 4 of Luke Clifford, Travis Orchard, Blake Thompson and Lord Darko. The midfield 4 of Tufik Alameddine, Mateo Polyak, Solomon Monahan Vaika and John Roberts, and it's a front 2 of Miriam Pavlovic and Alex Boyajian. As for Sydney United, they also make 2 changes from the side that lost to Blacktown last week. In goals, Tom Manos, a back 4 of Jordan Roberts, Yanni Fragigianis, Adrian Vlastelica and Christian Gonzalez. The midfield 3, Liam Rose, the birthday boy Yanni Perkatis and Tariq Mayer, and a front 3 of Matt Sim, Patrick Antelmi and Matthew Bilic. Yes, it's a great start to our Super Sunday across the New South Wales NPL network. Thanks for your company. Our match officials for this one, Tim Danaskos, his assistant Scott Edling and Brad Druitt, and our 4th official is Sam Quinn. Our audience building up. Thanks for your company. Remember, be sure to share the live stream around. Leave your comments throughout. Let us know what you're thinking. Sydney United last week, a first up loss for them away to Blacktown. The same for Mount Druitt Town Rangers here against Sydney FC. So both of these sides, a very important game early in the season. We're only in round 2. And the need for points is already hotting up. And it is Mount Druitt in the yellow tops. They'll be running from right to left. They kick us off. That's one of their gun recruits, former A-League star Mateo Polyak, who's playing in the midfield. And he's got Solomon Monahan Vaika alongside of him today. Missed out last week with an ankle injury. And that is a formidable and physical central midfield, which was such a key area last week in Sydney United's game at Blacktown City. He's another player returning to Sydney United starting 11 today. Yanni Fragigianis, such experience. He's one of 2 players starting today that didn't feature last week. This is the other one, Yanni Perkatis, who's playing in the 3-man central midfield. United looking to control possession as they did for large parts against Blacktown City last week. They find Antelmi. The flag's gone up though on this near side. Good battle that'll be. Watch out for that. And Tell Me against Travis Orchard. Travis Orchard, one of the new recruits for Aidan Desmond's Mount Druitt Town Rangers. Slotting in an experienced central defence alongside Blake Thompson. And they'll have a formidable job today against the Sydney United side that's expected to dominate possession. As they did last week at Blacktown. It came to nothing though, 18 shots. Couldn't get one in the back of the net. Of course, the formidable Tristan Prendergast was exceptional last week. And they've got another formidable object in Carlos Saliadari. They get it wide to the right-hand side through Sim. Working back is Alameddine, trying to support Lord Darko. They've given up a corner here, the Rangers. So on the front foot immediately are Sydney United. As the sun breaks out here at Popondetta Park. On the edge of the box is Percatis. To the back post he looks for Antelmi. And he can't get his header. Just a bit too close to the byline there. No angle to get that one across. Percatis is earned a 3-game suspension after a red card in an FFA Cup game against the West Sydney Wanderers. Missed out, of course, on that grand final. Sydney United's magnificent run to the grand final last season. Percatis was missing on grand final day. He missed out on the first round. So it's a welcome back for him. As I said, the birthday boy. Now he's given his goalkeeper in Tom Manos a bit of work. Manos read that well. Now Bilic are trying to apply the pressure on Clifford, who's in that back four alongside Orchard, Thompson and Lord Darko. Again, he applies the press on Bilic. Bilic, one of those players last week. Didn't quite bring their shooting boots with them. They were very impressive in build-up. It was just the execution in the final third that Željko Kalac tried to address during the week on the training pitch. Everything but the finish from Sydney United last week. And they're trying to raid down the right-hand side early on in this game. They've got another corner here. Will they go the short routine? Tariq Mayer's the player on the ball. Roberts drops short. This time, Alameddine and Darko combined to deal with that one. But it's Sim feeding Roberts again, and now inside to Tariq Mayer, edge of the box, Percatis, and he gets the first strike on target. It's gone down though on the edge of the box. We'll keep an eye on Yanni Percatis. Looks like he got a late knock there after taking that strike, which Carlos Saliadari comfortably dealt with. Now they get it out to that right-hand side. John Roberts, now Polyak. Looking to play it back to Roberts down the right-hand side. The youngsters in behind. Looking to test Sydney United here. Roberts does well to keep his feet. And Alameddine tries to get on the end of it. He's got another chance here. Liam Rose clears. Only as far as Monahan Vijika. Orchard's pressed. He gets it out to Clifford. Now Roberts, who started this game very well down the right-hand side. Here he goes again. John Roberts, inside it goes. Vlastelica away. Gonzalez finds Antelmi. Can United go quick in transition? Thompson does well to hold him up. And now Pavlovic. Again, he looks for Roberts. Both teams going down the right-hand side early. Roberts trying to take on his player. Pavlovic working back and getting it to the advantage there of Polyak, who couldn't quite get his shot down. Good work though. Pavlovic picking up the loose ball. After the good raid again down the right-hand side by Roberts. Player who spent some time in the off-season with Central Coast Mariners as part of their NYL setup. Of course, we've heard plenty about John Roberts around the western suburbs of Sydney for a number of years. Spent some time, of course, at the West Sydney Wanderers Academy. Also some time in Melbourne. And he's back here at Popondetta Park. looking to make an early impact here against United. Showing that they're not just going to sit back and absorb. We're waiting for a ball here for the restart. As the sun comes out, looks like Antelmi might take his skins off on that far side. Patrick Antelmi. Certainly the weather has fluctuated here throughout the last 3 days. Had quite a bit of rain in the western suburbs. Antelmi starting with the skins underneath. They've been discarded now. And he's gone with the short sleeve. Not sure what's going on here with the ball and why we don't have a backup. The one's gone over the back. There's an aquatic centre out the back here at Popondetta. An interesting start to this game, that's for sure. We're only 5 minutes in. Thanks for your company. Tony Tanous with you. Remember, we're live and interactive, so leave your comments throughout. It's a big day across the NPL New South Wales scene. Of course, 4 games in the men's one. This is the first of 4 games this afternoon in the men's one. Later on, we'll have Wollongong Wolves hosting North Shore Mariners. That's coming up at 2:30. And then a blockbuster at 6 p.m. Apia Leichhardt Tigers taking on Sydney Olympic out of Lambert Park. Those of you who had that scheduled, if you originally thought that one was at 7:30, it's been moved to 6 p.m. So get on down to Lambert Park for that one. Apia versus Olympic. And then at 6:30 at Elandon, it'll be Sydney FC against Marconi to round off the men's one. A few Bronx cheers here around Popondetta Park as the replacement ball came back in. So we can restart with Sydney United looking to build up again down this right-hand side with Matt Sim. Roberts not quite on the same wavelength there with Perkatis. Quite a bit of size in that central axis for the Mount Druitt Town Rangers with Polyak. Now again spreading it wide out to that left-hand side, right-hand side for Roberts, who takes on Gonzalez. Vlastelica helping out. It's going to fall here to Monahan Vaika. Now Pavlovic is playing just off Alex Boyajian. That second striker role. A lovely ball into Boyajian, who takes it on the chest. Sydney United on the back foot now. Gonzalez steps in ahead of Roberts. Bit of early defensive work. Mount Druitt Town Rangers showing that they're not just going to sit back here. Set out a very positive formation with Pavlovic, former Sydney United player, of course, playing behind Boyajian. And you've got Alameddine and Roberts on the flanks. And Telmi battling away with Uhtred. Monahan Vaika picks up the loose ball. And Clifford spits it out to the right-hand side. Nice touch inside from Roberts, who's had an excellent start here. Monahan Vaika. Again, it's Pavlovic who picks up the loose ball. Now Alameddine can drive at Roberts and get into the box. Alameddine. Good work from Fragiagiannis to cut across. And now it's laid down to Polyak! And his strike is inches wide. A good build-up there from Mount Druitt Town Rangers. Alameddine, Pavlovic involved heavily early, as is Roberts. We promised and hoped for a very open game between 2 attacking sides. 2 teams that like to get forward. Mount Druitt Town Rangers last year finishing just outside the final spots. They finished in 7th spot, only 2 points outside the finals. But they had the 3rd best attack in the league, only behind Wollongong Wolves and Apia. So we know that the Mount Druitt Town Rangers certainly like to get forward. It's been an interesting off-season for them, a couple of big signings. Travis Uhtred adding a lot of experience out of Manly in the centre of defence, and then Mateo Polyak, another very experienced player. Certainly the defensive side of their game was an issue last year. They had the 2nd worst defence in the league, conceding 46 goals. Only Sydney FC had a worse defensive record. And so that's something they've looked to stiffen up. Aidan Desmond bringing in Travis Uhtred alongside Blake Thompson, who slipped here and gives Sydney United a chance to get him behind. Sims in the box. Working back there was Darko. Good defensive work from the left back. We saw a slippage early on in the game last week for Mount Druitt Town Rangers. It was Travis Orchard who slipped, gave away a free kick. You might have seen that one across the socials and on the live stream and in the highlights. Controversial moment in that game. Meant that Mount Druitt started that game a little bit slow against Sydney FC. They felt like they were rattled early on. Conceded 2 goals. Geordie Swibble and Cameron Pepion in the opening 9 minutes. It took them a little while to settle into the game. It was only the second half where they really switched back on. They've got some work to do here against Antelmi, and Darko again. Certainly started better in an offensive sense, have Mount Druitt Town Rangers, but Sydney United also showing that they can penetrate in behind. Antelmi looking dangerous. Now it's Rose in that pivot, number 6 role. He finds Pakatis, who can turn and face. Now Sim looks to get it across, and it's an OG. It's an own goal. And Travis Orchard was coming across there. Excellent build-up from Sydney United down the right-hand side. And just as we saw last week, an early defensive error. And this one's going to let Sydney United take the early lead. Lovely ball from Rose to find Pakatis facing forward. They got it down the right-hand side, which has been the avenue early on. And Tilmy made the run inside. And the unfortunate deflection off Travis Orchard into his own net. And it's Sydney United who take the early lead here at Popondetta. 1-0 it is to the visitors. Their first of the season. They scored plenty in the pre-season. Looked very impressive right throughout the pre-season. As Pavlovich turns here, trying to get the better of Rose. Now he looks to get it forward. Fouled in the back play there. Rose coming back for a second bite. It's going to be a free kick here. Thompson's looking for some movement. Alameddine ducks inside. Have to come from behind Mount Druitt. We said defensively that was the issue for them last year. As the ball comes up into the commentary box. Bit of work for the commentary crew here. Just missing the camera, thankfully for that. We can keep the live stream going. It is Darko who gets it going to Pavlovich. Fragigiannis. Now Boyajian, chance to get in the box. Good defensive work from Matt Sim. Involved in the attack, now helping defensively. And Blake Thompson dealing with that one. Pakatis can settle it here. Sydney United in the all-blue strip. This game was scheduled to be at their home ground at Ensa Park. They've had a bit of re-turf going on with their synthetic pitch. It's not quite ready for action. In round 2, they're hoping it will be ready for their round 4 clash at home against Rockdale City in a fortnight. So they've swapped fixtures here with Mount Druitt Town Rangers. Corresponding match here at the same venue last year. No goals in that one. It finished 0-0. Bit of a stalemate. We've had an early one here, which will open up the game even more than we expected it to at the start. Another excellent, healthy crowds built up here at Popondetta. It's been the theme right throughout the opening 2 rounds of the New South Wales National Premier League. Saw a massive crowd yesterday at Seymour Shaw. Grandstands packed here. The stands on the western side, on the eastern side as well. Our commentary side are also heavily populated. So excellent crowd again. Mount Druitt Town Rangers moving their home fixtures this year from Saturday night to Sunday afternoon to try and get the family audiences. And certainly the evidence of the first 2 weeks is that it's paying handsome rewards. Scenes that have been replicated right around the league. We saw last week, I was out at the game between Blacktown City and Sydney United. Another excellent crowd there. Also at Marconi. Marconi against the Sharks, another healthy crowd. So it's fantastic to see the awareness that's built up ahead of the season 2020. On the back of last year's fantastic season. Live streaming, it's going around, helping promote the league, really helping promote the quality of the competition. We saw Sydney United's run towards the end of last season. They've really looked to carry on under the stewardship of Željko Kalac. Anthony Kriya also coming in as the strength and conditioning coach. This team is extremely fit. Spakatis slightly heavy on that occasion, just getting in behind Polyak. Those players with a history at the West Sydney Wanderers, of course. Mount Druitt, second season back up in the top flight. They did have a 2-year stint in the top flight back in the mid-90s, 1994 and 95. The New South Wales top flight. As I said, finishing 7th last year, a fantastic result for them. Wasn't the greatest start to their season. They only won 2 of their first 11 games in the first half of the year. They were able to rebuild the midway point of the season. That work in the second half of the season, bringing in the likes of Pavlovic. They ended up winning their last 3 matches to finish just 2 points outside the top 5. Lovely first touch there from Polyak. Then he turns back the other way. Come over from the Sutherland Sharks. Gets it out to Roberts, who again tries to take on Gonzalez. Bilic working back to double up defensively. Again, Sydney United sat back here. They've got the lead. They can't penetrate there in counter-attack. Polyak picks up the ball. Again, he tries to take that route down the right-hand side. That one too overhit for Roberts. This time, Manos can restart quickly. Thanks for your company. I've mentioned the start of a blockbuster 7 hours, starting at 2 p.m, finishing all the way through to 9 p.m. across the Football New South Wales channels on YouTube and Facebook, as Sim looks to get behind Darko. Very clear that the right side's the focus for both coaches in the early going. Roberts for Mount Druitt, Sim for Sydney United. They've won another corner on this near side. Again, they want to go short. This time it's Mayer on the edge of the 18-yard box, and it's at the back post there. And Tell Me came at him quick. Couldn't quite get the header under control. But again, that set piece quickly taken. Couple of games to come, as I mentioned, International Women's Day, as I mentioned in the opener. And the start of the NPL New South Wales Women's, what a competition that is. 59 players stepping out of the W League into the New South Wales NPL. It's a competition which continues to get stronger and stronger. Of course, every match live streamed across the New South Wales Women's this year with the added feature of commentary across all 6 round games. This week, though, it's a disrupted start for a couple of reasons. 3 games have been postponed due to W League commitments. Clubs can request a postponement if they've got 3 or more W League players, and there's a number of teams that are affected by that. Spakatis gets in behind here. He's in the box with a great chance to tee it up square. Spakatis does that, this time at the back post, Clifford. And now it's Mayer trying to follow up. And Tell Me keeping it alive, and the chance goes begging for Sydney United. Spakatis suddenly found himself bearing down on goals. getting in behind the Mount Druitt Town defence. And he looked to square it across there. But Clifford was able to do the defending, the right back. Now it's, and tell me, physical confrontation there with Mateo Poliak. It's those two in the centre of that midfield, Monahan Vaika and Poliak. Certainly got a lot of work to do against this mobile Sydney United side. Find Liam Rose. Tariq Mayer. A bit too heavy on that. Starting to get a couple of touches though, Tariq Mayer. Didn't see much of the ball last week against Blacktown City. Blacktown playing a four-man diamond midfield. Really, they were able to shut out both Tariq Mayer and Devante Clute in that midfield. Not let them get on the ball, heavily marked. That forced United into the wide areas for much of that match. Still created plenty, couldn't finish. They've got one early, which helps settle things down for the team from Odense Park. Clifford can't get it beyond Gonzalez, who drives down the left-hand side, combining here with Bilic. In it goes to Mayer. And now the 1-2 combination. Tariq Mayer is again, edge of the box. This time Poliak combines with Alameddine. Can Mount Druitt get a counter going? Thompson looks over the top for Roberts. A good ball from him. And suddenly it's 2v2. Roberts looking to take on Vlastelica. Was he tripped up there? Yes, he was. The referee was right on the spot. Looks like Tariq Mayer working back in defensive transition. A little trip there on Roberts, who was showing plenty of trickery there. And we just pondered whether Mount Druitt Town Rangers could get that counter-attack going. And that's exactly what they've been able to do. A lovely ball over the top from Thompson. And it was Roberts, who's looked the danger man early on, was able to stay on his feet. And his trickery drew an extra defender and drew a little clip. And it's giving Tufik Alameddine, who scored Mount Druitt Town Rangers' 100th goal last week from the penalty spot. Stepping up here to try and level it up. Up steps Alameddine! What a save from Manos! Flying to his left there, Tom Manos. And he's kept it at 1-0 to Sydney United over Mount Druitt Town Rangers. But the drama's already hotting up here at Popondetta. Penalty decision, Tim Danaskos on the spot. Alameddine working back here. Mentioned that penalty that he scored. It was a consolation in the 93rd minute last week. Mount Druitt Town Rangers' 100th goal in this New South Wales top flight. That statistic courtesy of New South Wales historian Greg Stock. Scored 56 while they were up in the top flight, 94 and 95. They scored 43 last year, and they weren't able to score their 101th goal from the penalty spot this afternoon. 1-0 it remains to Sydney United. Sim looks inside for Perkatis. Now it's Vlastelica. A wonderful start to this match. Hope you're enjoying it. Tony Tanous bringing you the action here from Popondetta. Sun's broken out. Bilic. Working back though is Monahan Vaika. Mention those couple of changes for Aidan Desmond. Thomas Gattani, the youngster. He's come across from Spirit FC. Got a start last week. He's back on the bench today, so Monahan Vaika's in. The other one's Daniel Fogarty, who's come across also from NPL 2. Came across from the champions in Hills United. Got a start last week. This week reverting to the bench. A live wire who might provide some late impact for Mount Druitt Town Rangers, along with the likes of Jake Mamone, Cooper Kaskiri also on the bench. As for Sydney United, got a bit of experience in Glenn Trefiro, mixed in with some youngsters. Devante Clute, new signing from Blacktown City who started last week. So Josh McDonald gets his first potential action today as Percates looks to slip it in for Sim. Sim stays on his feet. Orchard comes across, and now it's Monahan Vaika who's able to clear. Only as far though as Rose. Again, United trying to up the ante here. Raja Giannis. Over the top it goes. Not quite on the same wavelength there with Antelmi was Percates. So certainly plenty of punch to come off the bench for Sydney United. They've also got the youngster in Michael Roos, so Josh McDonald, Glenn Trefiro and Devante Clute. Lots of attacking weaponry. A loaded bench today for Željko Kalac, who's enjoying his time as the main man in the dugout for Sydney United. Pavlovic gets it out now to Roberts. Again, that danger supply down the right-hand side. He's been a real go-to for Mount Druitt Town Rangers in this first half so far. Roberts looks to get Percates away, finding room between the lines. And Telmi shows just enough of it there for Orchard to step in. 1-0 it remains if you've just joined us. Sydney United scoring through an own goal. The own goal conceded by Travis Orchard. There's certainly been some drama since. On 24 minutes, Tufik Alameddine stepped up and Tom Manos produced an outstanding flying save from the penalty spot to keep it at 1-0. Got a player down at the moment, just getting some treatment. Looks like it might be Christian Gonzalez, the left back. Certainly keep an eye on it. Gonzalez is on his feet. Perhaps it's might be Matthew Bilic by the looks of things. Player who has, of course, had a lot of injuries in recent years. Started to really come back to full fitness. In the second half of last season, scored in the grand final, lost to Apia. And it is Bilic who's back up on his feet here. Just walking gingerly off. Keep an eye on him. Hopefully he can resume his duties. Excellent atmosphere here at Popendetta. Roberts gets a second chance here. Darko closes him down. Bilic just getting back up on his feet on that far side. Just testing out that left ankle of his. Good press this from Mount Druitt. Darko does well defensively, wants to go quick. Thompson, who played that ball across to Roberts. And the build up to that penalty award. Again, it's Roberts the target. Can't quite keep it in this time. Good battle that one. Roberts certainly shading Gonzalez in the early going. He's going to be a substitution here. No risk from Željko Kalac. Matthew Bilic, the player who went down. He's going to be replaced by one of those attacking weapons off the bench I mentioned, Josh McDonald. It is a like-for-like swap. Josh McDonald, a wide player who can play either left or right. Did move across and spent some time at the Central Coast Mariners after an excellent season a couple of years ago in the New South Wales NPL for Wollongong Wolves. And he came back into the NPL New South Wales scene. Joined Sydney United. Had a good working relationship with last year's coach at Sydney United in Miro Vlastelica through the A-League Academy system. So he's had an interrupted pre-season, Josh McDonald, but he was excellent last week in the under-20s. He got 90 minutes in that game against Blacktown. Proved his fitness. So he comes off the bench now. Try and make a bit of impact for Sydney United. Liam Rose, neat feet from him, trying to dance through the midfield. And he finds Sim. Playing in that deep holding midfield role is Liam Rose, pulling the strings. Vlastelica, he's got the captain's armband this year. He's been a leader in the centre of defence, particularly in the second half of last year, along with Uzkok. They were magnificent in that run to the grand final. Certainly stiffened the defence up in the second half of the year. Come forward down the left. McDonald getting his first taste of action, trying to combine with Gonzalez, and now Mayer. In sharply there was Thompson. Now Polyak. Again, Roberts is the outlet. This time Gonzalez tries to get to it ahead of him. It's going to be a free kick on the halfway line to Roberts. As I mentioned, the action will come thick and fast throughout the afternoon, right across our Football New South Wales network. We've got kick-off now in Wollongong, where the Wolves are hosting the newly promoted North Shore Mariners, who did a really good job in the opening round against Apia. Wollongong coming off a win, last year's premiers. Perfect start for them away to Sydney Olympic last week. North Shore, an excellent second half comeback against the champions in Apia. So the quality continues to get deeper and deeper across the New South Wales scene. 3 o'clock, those two women's games which kick off the season. Jensen Park, Bankstown City hosting Manly United. And at MacArthur, at Linwood Park, it's the Rams, the MacArthur Rams, hosting the emerging Jets. The other game that was scheduled for today, Sydney Uni, last year's premiers and champions. That's been washed out, their home game against the Northwest Sydney Koalas. I endeavour to try and keep you up to date on progress around the grounds. Here, a 13th minute goal to Sydney United, an own goal conceded by Orchard. There's a difference between the two sides. Thanks for your company. Tony Tanous with you from Popondetta. In a frantic start here, action at both ends. It's just settled a little bit. Mount Druitt looking to mount another series of attacks here before the half-time whistle. Thompson finds Orchard. Clifford available on that right, but they come back down the left-hand side. This time it's a direct straight ball, a bit too straight that one. Pavlovich trying to make the run off Boyajian. That's the setup that they've got. A real tactical dilemma for Aiden Desmond. No Fab Fernandez this year. Their leading scorer, one of the standout players in the 2019 NPL season. The Uruguayan Fabrizio Fernandez wasn't able to make it back for the start of the 2020 season. They haven't been able to quite replace him with a like-for-like player. So today, the adjustment is Pavlovic playing a little bit deeper as a second striker. Roberts combining here with Mayer. Good movement from him. Sim couldn't keep his shot down. But again, positive stuff. Tariq Mayer coming over from that left-hand side, trying to create the overload on this right side. Playing that 4-4-1-1 formation today are the Mount Druitt Town Rangers. Pavlovic is a target here. Of course, a former Sydney United player. 3 stints at Sydney United. Who get in behind here. Sim in transition. Can he extend the lead? Sully Adari stands up strong. And how quick was Sydney United in transition there? A little bit sluggish from Mount Druitt Town Rangers. They didn't get back quick enough. And they needed their goalkeeper to come to the rescue there. Sully Adari keeps it at 1-0. Chance on the edge of the box. Percates. Now it's going to fall here to McDonald, who can't keep it down. But again, it's Sydney United knocking on the door. Sully Adari, and it might have been a combination of poster there. Keeping Percates out. Certainly a lot of talk around Sydney United in the pre-season, given the strength and conditioning work that they did have. Players with some of the best skin folds you've ever seen in the New South Wales NPL. Looking almost as fit as some A-League squads we've seen over the years. And you can understand that, given that Anthony Krier and Željko Kalac are involved in the technical side of things. Professionalism and levels continue to step up in the NPL New South Wales scene. That's being shown by Sydney United having such a strong pre-season. Of course, a lot of talk during the week around the National Second Division. James Johnson, the new CEO at FFA, talking about the expressions of interest starting to open up, seeing which clubs are interested. That Sydney United are among those being talked about in New South Wales. Certainly plenty of sides, likes of Sydney Olympic, Marconi, Apia, Wollongong Wolves. Certainly you'd expect them to express an interest. So plenty to keep an eye out on. Sim looks to feed and tell me here. Now the combination. Tariq Mayer looks to get it back to and tell me. Falls out to McDonald. And Sully Adari again. Sharp down to his left this time. A wonderful save from the custodian to keep it at 1-0. But United asking more and more questions here. Confidence of taking the lead early. Sim's going to go inside this time. And Sully Adari comes. This time it's Boyajian on the edge of the box, but he can't clear. Sydney United winning the ball high. On the front foot they remain. McDonald, who's had a good impact off the bench. Couple of chances for him already. Gonzalez can't get it past Thompson. The Rangers being stretched. They got a moment of relief in counter-attack. A penalty which they were unable to convert. Roberts has certainly been the go-to in the first half. Alameddine trying to add some impetus to this attack. Down the right-hand side through Clifford. Vlastelice, and he will do there for Sydney United. Good little build-up from the Rangers. Keeping a bit of possession. Getting their fullback in Clifford forward. Now it's Orchard. United happy to just keep a bit of possession here. Looking to build their forward pattern. Mayer gets in behind that midfield four yet again. Now he finds Sim. Sim makes it 2-0. A wonderful finish this time from Matty Sim. He opens up his account. Featured in last week's Team of the Week. He wasn't able to hit the back of the net, but he's been able to find it here. A wonderful bit of work down the left-hand side, and they were able to get Matt Sim in behind. And it's Sydney United to take a 2-0 lead at Popondetta. Sim, who managed to bag 6 goals in the 2019 season, has got his 2020 account underway. Great first touch inside the box to cushion that ball. And then he waited for Saliadari to commit. Went near post. And they've punished the Rangers for that missed penalty. And made it 2-0. They've been threatening right throughout this first half. As I mentioned last week, created 18 chances, did Sydney United. But for Tristan Prendergast and a wonderful defensive regard from Blacktown City. Might have been a different story. Today they've come out and have made sure that they've punished Mount Druitt Town Rangers. Down the left, they try and raid again through Gonzalez. Happy to keep a bit of possession. As we tick towards the end of the first half. A half which Sydney United have controlled in the main. Mount Druitt certainly had some passages though. Roberts in particular in that first 20 minutes looked very dangerous. Since the penalty save though from Manos, it's been United. They've been in firm control. And they try and perhaps had another one before the break. In behind goes Antelmi, and he crashes it against the crossbar. United starting to purr here. Driving now at Darko. Sim across. The air swing this time, Antelmi. And Mount Druitt can't wait for the halftime whistle here to try and adjust a couple of things. United threatening to run away with it. 2-0 they lead. Chances starting to be created at will. Biagian can't hold it up. He's made a great impact off the bench last week, so he got his start today. Early on it looked like a tactic that might challenge Sydney United, but they've been able to settle. Build more and more control of this match. They've got another corner. They've favoured this short option. Sim with Roberts. And now again it's Mayer. This time his touch lets him down. It was terrific. Along with Liam Rose, two of the standout youngsters. As we see the board go up on that far side, our fourth official, Sam Quinn. 3 minutes of additional time. Sense for Mount Druitt. If they can try and create something. Right now, looks like it's about damage limitation before the halftime break. Sydney United asking more and more questions. Here is Sim, who's been heavily involved yet again. Such an experienced player. It's available again for Vlastelica. The diagonal ball across, though. This time he's just drifted into an offside position. Can give you an update from Wollongong, who took a lead after 12 minutes in their home clash against the North Shore Mariners. So the Wolves, who came in on 3 points after last week's win, looking to join Blacktown City. Still plenty of time, of course, to go in that one. Might want to flick over to the coverage during the halftime break here, but of course, second half, Sydney United look to be taking a 2-0 lead into the halftime break as we stand. Can Mount Druitt mount something here? Alamedine's offside though. A high defensive line. Well organised there by Fragigianis. Here he is, Yanni Fragigianis over the top again for Sim. Really asking more and more questions of Lord Darko. Inside it goes. Good first touch from Pakatis. Looking to combine with Roberts. Strong challenge there from Thompson. Some appeals from the Sydney United players and Sydney United fans on this eastern terrace. The referee waves play on. It is going to be a goal kick, which will just about see us to the end of this first half. What will Aidan Desmond do at the break? Will he stiffen up that midfield? Try and gain a bit of control. Certainly looks like they've got a bit of threat through the likes of Roberts, Pavlovich and Alamedine. Roberts is here again. Can it create one more moment before the break? Trying to take on Gonzalez. Roberts, forward he goes to Boyajian. And that was a glimmer of a moment there. Alamedine trying to keep it alive. Across it goes. And you thought there, Boyajian on the back post. But it is the last action of a thrilling first half here at Popondetta. A wonderful open attacking affair. Sydney United on the front foot early. Mount Druitt certainly threatening for large periods of the first half of that first half. But United getting in control as the half wore on. And they take a 2-0 lead in to the break. Travis Orchard own goal, followed by a Sim finish at the break. It is Sydney United 2, Mount Druitt Town Rangers 0. We'll have a short break and be back with all the second half action shortly. And it is a welcome back to Popondetta Park for this round 2 clash in the New South Wales National Premier League 2020 season. And what a first half statement it's been from Sydney United, 58. They take a 2-0 lead into this second half. The goal's coming on 13 minutes, an own goal conceded by Travis Orchard. Followed up in the 42nd minute by Matt Sim. So at the break, the home side, Mount Druitt Town Rangers, certainly have the work ahead of them. Sydney United in the all blue, and they'll be running from right to left. It's Tony Tanous in commentary with you. Thanks for your company across the Football New South Wales channels. The first of 7 blockbuster Super Sunday clashes. 4 in the men's one. The NPL 2 match of the round, which will come at 7 p.m. tonight to round off the coverage between West Sydney Wanderers and Hills United. 2 matches which are just kicking off across the NPL New South Wales Women's 1 competition. So plenty of action hotting up. Wollongong Wolves in action at home. Thomas James is already on the score sheet as far as 2020 is concerned. He's got the only goal against the North Shore Mariners. Try and keep you as up to date as we can right throughout this second half. Sydney United, haven't they been easy on the eye throughout this opening first half? They come forward here through their skipper in Vlastelica. Again, that diagonal switch out to Sim. Waiting for the overload from Roberts. And Roberts now in behind. Chance to cut it across. Thompson covers this one, reads it well. What have Mount Druitt Town Rangers done differently here? Back out with the same as starting 11. No changes so far from Aidan Desmond. Joko Kalat's forced into one throughout that first half. Rose pressed here by Pavlovic. Too heavily though for the referee and Tim Danaskos. It's a free kick to Sydney United. Fragigiannis looks to get it across to McDonald, who climbs well, and Telmy putting the pressure on Orchard. Clifford turning one way and the other. Forced back here by McDonald. Gets himself out of it well though, Luke Clifford. Finds Boyajian. Under pressure from Vlastelica. Does well, Boyajian, just to play that off the Sydney United central defender right in front of our commentary and camera position here. Action coming to you from Popondetta Park. Hope you're enjoying your Sunday. Overcast conditions. Complete opposite of what we saw last weekend, same time last week. As Monahan Vaika tries to get him behind. His first game back from a period out injured. The central midfielder who's so impressive last year for the Mount Druitt Town Rangers. It's one of their standouts in their first season back in the top flight. Vlastelica, again the carrier of the ball out of defence. Gonzalez taking the space from left back. Now combining with Mayer, who can switch it out to Sim. Movement from Percatus. To the byline he goes. The cutback only to the advantage there of Polyak. But again, a sumptuous raid from Sydney United. Here's Vaika, Monahan Vaika. Will he get another chance to slip it through? Boyajian's available. Peels away to the right. Roberts makes the move. Goes down in the box. Comes off Sydney United player to the advantage of Tom Manos. Again, they start the second half, Sydney United looking for that right-hand side where Sim was so productive throughout that first period. Good touch by Gonzalez. Lays it into the space now for McDonald. Clifford works back. Got the start last week. Did Luke Clifford at right back. Initially meant to start at left back. Jake Mamone was meant to start at right back against Sydney FC, but he felt a little bit of a hamstring tightness in the warm-up, so Darko came in at left back. Lord Darko, which forced Clifford out to right back. And that's how Aidan Desmond started this round 2 clash. McDonald brings that one down. So among the scorers in that 3-2 victory for Sydney United's under-20s last week. Good movement of ball again. Roberts involved, and Tell Me can't quite take the touch. And Orchard can clear. Again, the pressure's coming though from the blue of Sydney United. Alameddine forced deep into the midfield, and Tell Me. This time the counter's on, potentially for Monahan Vaika. Pavlovic has just slipped into an offside position. Tried to hold his run up as long as possible. But the ball was played a little bit too late there. Sydney United stepping up as a unit. They look a well-marshalled, well-drilled side. Certainly Željko Kalac, who came in to the Sydney United dugout the second half of last season to help Miro Vlastelica. Spent 10 years in the A-League system as a goalkeeper coach. Both Sydney's, Sydney FC and West Sydney Wanderers. And he spent some time at Melbourne City. Of course, player who played all over Europe for the Socceroos. Legendary Sydney United player, Socceroos goalkeeper. Played for AC Milan, no less, as well. Built up a lot of experience under some great coaches over the years. And he's looking to bring that to the New South Wales NPL scene. Certainly enjoying life as a first-team coach. They've done the work in the pre-season. They believe in an entertaining, proactive brand of football. And they're showing it here. McDonald it is. Looks to get it over to the back post. Darko clears. Kalac believes that a positive brand of football is in the Sydney United DNA. That's the way the club has always played. And that's certainly what he wants to do. He wants to entertain. He wants people to keep coming back. He wants to draw crowds to the NPL New South Wales scene, to the Sydney United team. Certainly on what we've seen in the first half and a bit. They are one to watch throughout the season as McDonald gets in behind, forcing Saliadari out. Smothers it well. One of the great shot stoppers in the New South Wales NPL. Here's Rose, the orchestrator from the deep-lying midfield role. Gonzalez looks to slip it into the run of Antelmi. Now it's Roberts. Can he pick up where he left off in that first half? Roberts looks to get it out to Alameddine. Now it's a chance for Mount Druitt. Can they ping one back here? Boyajian's on the edge of the box on the left foot! And it's not far at all. Terrific strike there. Had Tom Manos sprawling to his right. It's only managed to hit the side netting in the end. It will be his last bit of action, Alex Boyajian. And it's going to be the live wire and Daniel Fogarty. One of the new recruits at Mount Druitt. The top scorer in last year's NPL 2 competition for Hills United. Scored 22 goals across the NPL 2 season, including 2 in the grand final against North Shore Mariners. Had some wonderful chances last week. As I mentioned, he got a start. He's come on to try and provide a bit of impact. Looks like he's playing just off Pavlovic. Orchard looks to find Pavlovic. Rose gets to it ahead of him. Now it's United. They can't get him behind though. Breakdown down that right-hand side for once. Into Antelmi it goes. I like to bounce through the number 9. Now they get it out to Sim, but Darko had that one covered. Scott Edling, though, right on the spot there on that far side. Slid in, made the interception, but then it's come up and bounced off his hand. So it's going to be a free kick to Sydney United. Chance for Sim to whip one in. An in-swinger on the left foot. Thanks for your company this afternoon. Remember, we're going all the way through to 9 p.m. Tony Tanus in commentary with you here. All the way through to the final game, which will be the NPL 2 match of the round between West Sydney Wanderers and Hills United. One kicking off at 7 p.m. at Lily's. Sydney United lead this one by 2-0. Now it's Roberts looking to combine the 1-2 with Sim. Now he gets another chance. In behind he goes. Alameddine sticking to his defensive duties. Might have missed the penalty in that first half, but certainly working the house down is Tufik Alameddine. Came across last year when Mount Druitt Town Rangers got promoted. Had a wonderful season for the Rangers. Was their second top scorer with 8 goals. Roberts reads that one well. Vlastelica, though, had to be sharp. Keeps it alive for Sydney United, who get it in behind now. And tell me, chance to turn it in. In the end, Orchard getting across just to do the defensive work on Antelmi. There's going to be another corner on that far side. How many have we seen for Sydney United? Certainly been racking them up, particularly down that right-hand side. This time, it's going to be the right footer, Tariq Mayer. It's going to go with the outswinger. Or perhaps a more flat option. Picatis makes the run to the back post. He goes near. Can't get it past Alameddine. So certainly got a number of live wire options in that front third now, with Fogarty joining Roberts and Alameddine. Pavlovic up there to perhaps be the filter. The target. Trying to play off the experienced striker. Vlastelica gets it over here to McDonald, who does just about keep it in. Using the width here at Popendetta well. Stretching it side to side are Sydney United. Out it goes now to Perkatis. No one available on the left, so he goes inside. Sim looks to dink it in early to Tariq Mayer. Had to stretch there, couldn't get that one under control. Just building it up. Bit by bit, Sydney United looking to pick up second half where they left off. Mount Druitt unable to get high up the pitch, forced back. Here's the high press. Much cooler conditions today, suiting Sydney United's high press game. They win it again in the opposition half. Rose gets it across to Sim, but Darko's read this one well. Has to give away a throw-in, no. Keeping possession again, forcing the Rangers side to side. So comfortable in possession. What a ball-playing side they are. Vlastelica gets it across to Fragianis. Now it's Tariq Mayer turning one way. Picatis thought about leaving that. Clifford read it. In goes Sim. Picatis was the target yet again. Terrific performance so far from the birthday boy. Couldn't quite get on the end of it there. Now Fogarty's away, but the flag's going to go up. Brad Druitt on the near side. And that speed of Fogarty Certainly looks like it's a real avenue for Mount Druitt if they can just time that delivery. Aidan Desmond just having a chat to Mirjam Pavlovic. Pavlovic, of course, had a big impact against Sydney United in an early game last season. Game that featured against when he was at Marconi. Playing just off the front line, creating so much. But it's been a more difficult afternoon for him here. Sydney United sustaining a lot of the ball. McDonald can't penetrate. Mount Druitt give it straight back up. Now it's the blue of United. With McDonald driving at Orchard. McDonald. In the end, Clifford getting his body in the way, getting the block on. As that one looked goal bound. Saliadari's had to produce a number of excellent saves so far. But he could do nothing on 13 and 42 minutes. And it's a 2-0 advantage to the visitors. Thanks for your company across the Football New South Wales channels. Sydney United look to extend their lead. Tony Tanusi in commentary. Sure to let us know your thoughts on this Sydney United performance. What can Mount Druitt Town Rangers do to adjust? Saw what Blacktown did last week. Admittedly in very different conditions. Roberts working back there. He's going to be the first player booked in this match. Hasn't been too many fight ball moments. Sydney United's ability to move the ball very quickly means there's not many opportunities for crunching tackles on that occasion. Liam Rose upended by Roberts, who's worked back there and earned the first yellow card of the match. Will be a substitution here. Devante Klutz, the player that's going to come on. It's going to be the second substitution. Tariq Mayer's the player that's made way. So he started last week, the new signing for Željko Kalac in Devante Klutz. He's come off the bench this week with Sydney United in firm control. Tariq Mayer, who struggled to really get into the game last week against Blacktown. That was the same for Devante Klutz. Liam Rose just getting some treatment here after that heavy challenge by Roberts. We've already made 2 substitutions. Still the best part of half an hour to go here. Gives me a chance to give you an update from Wollongong, where it is half-time at Albert Butler, and North Shore Mariners have hit back against the premiers in Wollongong Wolves. 1-1's the score there in Wollongong. Of course, 2 more games to come this afternoon, or this evening. Adam Santarossa will bring you the coverage from Lambert Park, 6 p.m. Blockbuster game between Apia, last year's champions, Sydney Olympic, the double winners from 2018, and the new coach Terry Palapanis. Both sides looking to pick up some points. Apia got 1 last week. Olympic had an excellent second half. They copped a late goal against Wollongong. Finished up with nothing. And later on, 6:30 start at Rockdale Illendon. It will be Sydney FC, who are using Rockdale as their home base in 2020. Will Gotsis will bring you the action in their game against Marconi. Marconi had an excellent start last week. 2 teams that come off wins. Sydney FC, of course, winning here at Popondetta. Very impressive start from Jim Van Veren's youngsters in that first half. Hung on a bit in the second half. What a touch that is from Roberts. Over it goes to Fogarty. Can they find a lifeline back into the game? Vlastelica does the defensive work. And it's strong from Monahan Vaika. Too strong. He's given away the foul there against Devante Clute. Marconi, of course, having a 4-1 victory over Sutherland in the late game last weekend. So those two sides both looking to go to 6 and join Blacktown City, who sit on 6 points after yesterday's results. Blacktown winning 1-0 away to Manly. Game called by Nick Kutniak. Penalty from Matty Lewis, his second of the season. 2 1-0 victories for Mark Crittenden's Blacktown. Perhaps haven't dominated or controlled the full matches, but they've got the result. It's an excellent start for the team from Blacktown. Now it's Sydney United looking to build on the edge of the box. Over it goes to McDonald, across the face, and the clearance comes at that back post from Blake Thompson. Again, McDonald looking lively. Good movement of the ball on the edge of the box from Sydney United. It will be the final substitution. Plenty of game time here. Looks like it'll be Glenn Trefiro. And it will be Yanni Frogigiannis who comes off. Perkatis will move into the centre of defence. Yanni Perkatis. Good hour or so for Frogigiannis, who spent much of the pre-season out injured, looking to build his fitness up. Good idea there from Fogarty. Looked to slip it in behind, but Gonzalez was alert. Can give you an update from Jensen Park. The first goal there scored by the visitors, Manly United. Got our roving NPL reporter, Eric Subiano, out at Jensen Park. And it's a goal to Emily Minnett. Towering header from Awada, free kick. 1-0 it is to Manly United over Bankstown City. Try and keep you up to date with progress scores around the grounds. Clute combining here with McDonald. Tries to take on Monahan Vaika. Now the switch out from one side to the other. Sim waiting for the movement of Roberts. Goes instead to Treviro, who burst into the box. And Treviro tried to get that first time cross in. Such an experienced player, of course. The man they call Tricky. Certainly relish the open spaces in this game. Sydney United didn't see much last week of open space against Blacktown, particularly in that midfield. There's a lot more room here. Aidan Desmond starting to think about his next substitution as Orchard goes into the back there of Devante Clute. Becomes the second player booked. Bit of frustration there for Travis Orchard. Joins Roberts in the book. Forward it goes. This time a rarely overhit ball from Liam Rose. So Blacktown moving to 6 points last night. Matty Lewis to 2 goals. A few jokes flying around the New South Wales NPL scene that he might be going for the Golden Boot. Certainly keep an eye on that, Matty Lewis. Scored from the penalty spot yesterday after Charles Mendy won a penalty against his old club in Manly. Game that was well called by Nicholas Kutniak. Clifford comes forward. To the back post it goes. The other game, of course, last night was out at Seymour Shore. A wonderful crowd, as I mentioned earlier in the call. An excellent crowd at Seymour Shore. Saw a 1-1 draw. A tight, cagey affair, I thought, in the first half as Tufik Alameddine goes into the book. So they're starting to mount the yellow cards. Alameddine joining Orchard and Roberts. Cagey first half between Rockdale and Sutherland was certainly opened up by Rockdale, and Sam Gulisano scored in the second half to make it 1-0 to Rockdale. That triggered a real late flurry from Sutherland Sharks. They were able to get an equaliser through their big prized recruit, Blake Powell. Bringing you all the action there, Tony Salerno. So be sure to catch up on all the highlights, all the match reports, all the photo galleries across our NPL New South Wales social pages. Wonderful job that the team does, bringing you the action and bringing you the coverage, which has been boosted again this season for 2020. Increased exposure. As people warm to one of the real hot flavours in the Australian football scene. Of course, all the highlights will come out in the early part of the week. Match reports, match reviews. The NPL New South Wales 2 got underway last night as well. That included a big blockbuster local derby out at St George. 3-0 victory to the St George FA over St George FC. The other winners, SD Raiders, newly promoted SD Raiders. 2-1 victory for them over Hakoah. Double from Noah Chianese. Blacktown Spartans had a 1-0 win over Mounties Wanderers. Northern Tigers scored a very, very late goal to win it at Bonnyrigg. A 2-1 victory to Northern Tigers. Top competition, that one, the NPL New South Wales 2. Of course, the match of the round to come later tonight. Another result in that set of games last night. Spirit FC at home, a 2-2 draw against Central Coast Mariners. Sure to catch up across the NPL New South Wales pages. The round reviews. NPL 2 covered by Eric Subiano. Of course, the NPL 3 and NPL 4 getting underway this weekend too. Justin Smith covering the NPL 4 scene throughout the season. Not only the NPL Women's one starting this weekend. Nicola Posda will bring you all the action, all the reviews, all the interviews with coaches, as he always does from the New South Wales Women's one. You've got Justin Davies doing the NPL New South Wales Women's 2 as well. Wonderful coverage as Devante Clute. United leading by 2-0. Can they get the combination going? He and Glenn Trefiro are now at the top of that midfield trio. Or can Mount Druitt punish them here? They haven't been able to extend their lead early in this second half. Still the gap remains 2-0. If Mount Druitt can get one back. Make a real fist of this towards the end as Alameddine. Certainly one of the real standouts across the New South Wales scene in the last couple of years. Couldn't quite wrap his left foot around that. The chance goes begging. Still plenty of time though for the Rangers. Back here at home next week. Another tough game for them. They'll be playing last year's premiers in Wollongong Wolves. Of course, as I mentioned earlier, this was meant to be an away game for them. Sydney United's ground not quite ready. They're returfing their synthetic pitch. Hoping to have that ready for round 4. Chatting to Sam Krislovich a little bit earlier. That's another yellow card. This time it goes to Blake Thompson. So suddenly Mount Druitt's yellow card tallies racking up. Thompson joins Alameddine, Orchard and Roberts in the book. Sydney United away to Manly next week. Manly suffering 2 losses to start their season. So a very tough game for them coming up next week as well. No easy games, of course, in New South Wales NPL. Sydney United trying to make an early statement after losing last week. Trefiro getting to the byline and cutting it back. Cooper Kaskiri's one of the fresh players that's come on here. Youngster. Now it's Devante Clute! What a strike! Devante Clute picks up the ball, turns and punches it past Saliadari to make it 3-0 to Sydney United. And you think it's going to be difficult from here for Mount Druitt Town Rangers. United have been in control for large parts. They've been looking for that third goal to almost seal the deal, and they've got it now. Devante Clute with his first goal for Sydney United. A wonderful turn on the edge of the box. And he buried it past one of the great custodians in the New South Wales NPL in Saliadari. 3-0 it is. Just under 15 minutes remaining. That might be the sucker punch, the one that seals it for United. Again, as always, an excellent travelling contingent of Sydney United fans here at Popondetta. Waiting for the movement. Zayika trying to provide a physical target. Koskiri's come on for Pavlovich. It's forced a bit of an adjustment with Roberts dropping in behind Fogarty. And there's Roberts winning the ball. Vayika now. Monahan Vayika slips it inside. Kaskiri chance to get his cross in, but he can't get it beyond Tom Manos at that near post. And United continue to lead by 3-0. Update coming from Jensen Park, where Manly United have made it 2-0 against Bankstown City. Libby Copus Brown, player who has, of course, spent some time in the W League system. Giving Manly a 2-0 lead over Bankstown. Devante Clute mentioned not getting much space last week in that game against Blacktown. His former club relishing the space he's been given on the edge of the box there. Sharp turn. He sized up the opportunity, and now they go forward in full throttle through Antelmi. Antelmi makes it 4. A wonderful dink over the keeper. He stood Saliadari up, waited for him to commit. And Antelmi, who finished 2019 in a goal-scoring flurry, has made a 4-0 here to Sydney United. Again, it was a high ball pinch, and they went quickly through Trefiro, feeding Antelmi. And it's been a dominant display and a dominant performance, and they've now got the goals to show for it. Sydney United making an early statement in 2020. Trying to carry on where they left. That great run into the 2019 Grand Final at Bankwest Stadium. And Antelmi adds to goals from Devante Clute, Matt Sim, and an own goal by Travis Orchard to make it 4-0 to Sydney United. Here's Clifford coming forward now through Kaskiri. Kaskiri to the back post, and Fogarty was there and inches away from perhaps giving Mount Druitt a bit of a consolation. Player who scored goals for fun in the NPL too, of course, one of our great futsal roos, Daniel Fogarty. He goes to the near post here. The corner comes into the back post. Climbing at that back post was Thompson, but he couldn't quite get his header on target, and it remains 4-0 to United. They are to make a statement here. Sydney United, of course, shows you the quality of this competition. So much around. Apia have been one of the big guns. It's Kaskiri. Wollongong Wolves certainly stepped up to the plate last year, and they started 2020 on the right footing as well. Marconi have come into 2020 with a lot of continuity after some change last season. They've started with a big 4-1 victory. Of course, they're playing tonight, so lots of quality around. Olympic keen to make a statement after missing out on the finals last year. After winning the double in 2018, they've brought Terry Palapanis in, some big signings for them, like Sir Fabio Ferreira, Charles Lokili Ngoy, Raul Benet as well. That's impressed plenty at Sutherland last year. Adam Parkhouse among the signings. Some rumours speculating in the last couple of days about a potential signing out of Japan, a new name for Olympic. Keep an eye out on whether he will feature today, later on, but right now Sydney United making their statement here. Mount Druitt though trying to get themselves on the score sheet. Gonzalez though picks up the Fogarty release. Now it's Roberts trying to drive forward. Forward he goes again, winning a second ball. Now Sim, chased by Thompson, who does just about enough to force the corner. Had to get back sharply there, Blake Thompson, and had to be careful. He's sitting on a yellow card. Forward it goes from Clifford. Mount Druitt leaving 3 in the front line. Alameddine feeds Roberts, who looks to switch it out to Fogarty. Was he fouled in the back play? Referee says play on. Looked like a clash of legs there with Gonzalez. The referee happy to allow play to carry on. Here's Alameddine. Flag's gone up. Again, that discipline from Sydney United. Hope you're enjoying the coverage. It's Tony Tanous with you, live across the Football New South Wales channels from Popondetta Park. We're only in round 2, and already the action's hotting up. Players have been relishing the conditions today. We did have a couple of rain dumps earlier on here in the western suburbs, but it's been rain-free throughout the first grade match. Earlier on, a couple of one big win, in fact, for Sydney United in the under-18s. They won that by 8 goals to 2. Finished 1-1 in the under-20s. Of course, keep an eye across the social pages. Some big games to come next week. Round 3. Kicking off next Saturday. I'll be out at Marconi Stadium for a big blockbuster between Marconi and Sydney Olympic. Two of those teams we talk about as potential title contenders. Competition 2020 looks to be very hot. Sydney United making a statement here. There's a lot of talk around them in the pre-season. A couple of players already being talked about as potential signings of the new A-League franchise, the MacArthur Bulls. A lot of talk around one of the youngsters in Michael Roos, also Liam Rose. It's the birthday boy, Pakatis, gets it out to Roberts. Was he fouled there by Clifford? Yes, he was. It's just on the edge of the 18-yard box, so it's going to give Sydney United another opportunity to experienced A-League officials in Tim Danaskos, Scott Edling on that far side, Brad Wright on the near side as well. So experienced trio of officials. Kept the game flowing beautifully here. It's going to be a free kick to Matt Sim. We saw last week from a similar position, he rattled the crossbar. Trefiro's also over this one. Is he going to leave it to Matt Sim? Yes, he is. Is Sim going to go direct? He hits the wall. And the keeper calls for it, Saliadari. (4-0) if you've just joined us. Certainly one to rewind and look back over this. A dominant and terrific display from the visitors in Sydney United. Jelko Kalatz's side perhaps felt they might have come away with more last week. Denied by some excellent tactical work from Blacktown and goalkeeping of Tristan Prendergast. There's certainly been racking up the goals this afternoon. Manos. Time still for Sydney United to add more. McDonald, who has certainly livened things up on the left-hand side, showing you the luxury and the options that Jelko Kalac has at his hands. Ability to bring on the likes of Trefiro, McDonald. Of course, Anthony Tomilich last week featured, played in the under-20s this week. Kluke got a start last week, had to bide his time off the bench this time round, but he's come off, made an impact with the goal. That competition for places will certainly hold Sydney United in good stead. Donald now gets it out to Sim. In it goes, and Telmy gives away a foul though. Again, the Rangers can't build it up. They give it away. Constant turnover of possession, making it easy, or certainly inviting Sydney United forward. Trefiro trying to burst beyond Blake Thompson. It looks like he's got this one covered. Pressure comes on Saliadari, who can only clear as far as Liam Rose, who finds Sim. In it goes to Antelmi, who gets it past Saliadari. Saw a slither at that near post. And Antelmi makes it 5 now. And scores his second. It's a wonderful afternoon out for Sydney United. Jelko Kalac, his side making a bold statement in this early part of the 2020 season. Confidence growing. The goal starting to mount up. And United lead this one by 5 goals to 0. crowd here. The travelling Sydney United fans now want 6. They're calling it out. Still time, of course. The powerhouse display from Liam Rose was blunted last week by that Blacktown midfield. Speaking to Cullerts ahead of this game, Joko Cullerts, certainly something they will be prepared for. Teams trying to nullify them. They felt that they were still able to control proceedings last week. Had their finishing boots been on, it might have been a different story. They've got their formula, they've got their style, they want to stick to that. Focus on keeping possession. Creating overloads, moving it from side to side, and here they are on the left-hand side through. McDonald looking to find Antelmi. Klutz on the edge of the box. Tell me perhaps with still some time to complete a hat-trick for him. Forward it goes. Again, it's Antelmi, the focal point at 9. Now they've found Clute. Back into Sim. Can Mount Druitt get a late consolation here? They're going to get a free kick instead. They can't keep it. Again, they give it away. Something for Aidan Desmond to work on. The week coming up ahead of the game against Wollongong. As I mentioned last year, it was a difficult start for them. They only won 2 of their first 11 matches in the first half of the season. Came home strongly, won 6 in the second half of the year to finish just 2 points outside. Didn't have a great record at home. They only won their first match in round 14 last year. And it's been a difficult start to their home form so far. Looking like 2 losses on the spin. They'll look to make amends next week. The spirited performance against Wollongong Wolves. Kaskiri finds Roberts, who had a fantastic first half. Hasn't been as effective in the second half. Certainly chasing a lot of possession as they cuts it back to Alameddine, and he can't keep it under the crossbar. A nice tee up there from Roberts. That finish just about sums up the afternoon for the Mount Druitt Town Rangers. A great opportunity goes begging for Alameddine. He missed from the penalty spot in the first half. And that's the end of the action. A massive statement here from the visitors, Sydney United. They win 5-0. They led 2-0 at the half-time break. And then in the second half, it was Clute and Antelmi twice who added to the misery for the Mount Druitt Town Rangers. And Zelko Kalit's side, who created so much last week and came away with nothing. They've done the business here in round 2, and they go to 3 points. And that'll give them plenty of confidence to take forward into round 3. As for Mount Druitt, a big week ahead for them. They host Wollongong Wolves here next week. They certainly threatened for parts of that first half, but it was Sydney United who got on top, took control and ran away with it. And it finished 5-0. To the visitors. A fantastic statement here. Hope you have enjoyed the coverage. Tony Tanus in commentary with you. It's the first of 7 live streams, 7 big games across your Super Sunday, across the Football New South Wales channels. Remember, we've got a big blockbuster, Apia hosting Olympic later on. Sydney FC hosting Marconi. Then the match of the round in NPL 2. But from Popondetta, signing off where it's finished. Sydney United 5, Mount Druitt Town Rangers 0.